What up, Doc? Yep. How you doing, man? Man, brand new bike. Oh, shit.
It's fast.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you're coming from an 883
Yeah, that was
to a 103.
really double.
Hey, how's it going? Yeah, that's a hell of an upgrade, sir.
Pedro said he has a thunder header for it.
Oh, nice.
Ooh, I was thinking about doing a thunder header myself. Oh, you'll make good power with that.
I'll make good power and it won't sound like a sewing machine.
Yes.
That is super clean, man.
Yeah. I liked it because it kind of reminded me of like the old FXR
Yeah.
kind of styling.
Nostalgia.
Yeah.
Congratulations, man. It's crazy. Damn. Swung the leg over, but didn't swing it far enough, and I just hit my top of my freaking right shock. Ah, with my shin. It hurts. It's like stubbing your toe, but just stubbing your shin. Sound weird? Kind of sounds weird. Anyways, what up, Blockheads? We're headed to bike night. Got Eric over here, Greg behind me, and then Raj and his girl. And Raj just bought a brand new 2017 Dyna Lowrider. I forget what they'd call that red color. It's like a crimson red or cherry red or something like that. Unfortunately, Miss Block cannot join us tonight because she's being a responsible adult, and she's got some homework to finish up. As much as I tried to get her to come with us, good on her for being responsible. That good? All right. Oh, I'm gonna try and get over on the non-shitty part of the road. I hate it whenever you're trying to change lanes like that and there's that big jump. You gotta really hit it, otherwise it pulls you. Anyways, so I do have a subject in mind for this episode while we're on the way to the Ace Cafe. That all rhymed. And this is kind of inspired by the fact that Raj just picked up that new lowrider. And so I get this question. It's probably like in the top 3 questions that I get. Actually, no, it's probably the #1 question that I get. That is people asking me what the best starter bike is, or what I think the best starter bike for them is. You know, people message me all the time like, hey man, I'm looking at an Iron 883. Obviously they message me about that bike quite a bit because I started out with one. So they message me about that bike a lot and they're like, hey man, I'm thinking about getting the Iron 883 or you know, a 48 or a Suzuki 600, like a Gixxer 600, or you know, dude, the bike models are just endless. You know, I appreciate you guys being willing to take the time to reach out and message me and ask me what I think, but to be totally honest, I've got an inbox full of those questions and there's no way I could get to all of them, because if I did, it would take up easily, dude, like a couple of days trying to message everybody back. So I'm just gonna make a video on what I think the best bike to fit you is. What is the best starter bike for you? You're interested in getting a motorcycle and you've been looking around at a couple different models and it's like, hey, I want to get this bike, but I'm going to do my research on it. Good for you. That's definitely step 1 of the process. You need to research, you need to kind of understand and get some knowledge on what you're getting yourself into. I've got lots of videos going over, you know, motorcycle tips and, you know, before buying a motorcycle, things to consider, which goes over, you know, like gear and finances and like a lot of the expenses regarding motorcycles, you know, reasons to ride, reasons you shouldn't ride. So there's a ton of videos, but I haven't done this video, which is basically like what the best starter bike is. As soon as the light turns green, I'm going to tell you guys what the best starter bike is. Come on, green light, y'all. That's cute. Okay, after getting a little spirited, now I'll tell you guys what the best starter bike is. So the best starter bike for you is the bike that you are the most comfortable on. Now you're saying, Block, that is a terrible answer. You're not giving me a model. Why aren't you giving me a model? Because I want to know what model bike is the best for me and what brand bike is the best for me. I'm not going to give that to you because I can't. Because everybody is different. So I'll share with you guys my experience, basically what my starter bike was. So my starter bike was the Harley Davidson Sportster Iron 883.
So we're gonna go past Don Young and take that one way we took one time.
All right.
Okay?
So yeah, an example, I'm gonna give you guys my experience. So my experience, I started out on an Iron 883, and for me that was a good starter bike. But stipulation, that was a good starter bike because I had had some experience on motorcycles previously. And what I mean by that is, growing up, I actually had a lot of experience on ATVs, such as three-wheelers, four-wheelers, and a little bit on dirt bikes. Now, a little bit on dirt bikes because my cousins had them growing up, and I rode their dirt bikes growing up. So I got kind of a feel for a motorized two-wheeled vehicle. So I was a little bit comfortable with motorcycles, right? Well, so after about 9 months, almost a year of having an Iron 883, I got really comfortable with that bike to the point where, you know, I started riding with people, started doing more group rides. It's where I met the whole Blockhead crew. And so riding with these guys, they had, you know, bigger bikes. A couple of them had Dynas, a couple of them had like sport bikes, you know, like John and Matt had like CBR 600s. Yeah, there was, I mean, just a bunch of different style bikes. I think there was maybe one other person that had a Sportster, but I was growing as a rider because of riding with them, because, you know, they were kind of making me grow, you know, they were making me get more comfortable with group rides and all that stuff. Woo! So by the time like I'd been riding with them for a bit, I was basically like maxing that iron out. I was twisting back on throttle, and you know, it was getting up and going, and it was decently quick, but I wasn't able to keep up with a lot of the guys, you know. And that's not just like, not like we're racing or anything like that. Basically, I wasn't able to keep up with, whenever we'd be at a red light and they would all go, they would basically be just kind of like leisurely going off the red light. But me, dude, I was having to like just, you know, pin that throttle back to where I was having to keep up with them. So yeah, they were basically operating at like half of what their bikes were capable of, and for me to keep up, it was like I was operating at like 90 to 100% of what my bike was capable of. And so I was like, all right, you know, something's got to change. I gotta like upgrade the engine or something like that. I considered big bore kits, yada yada yada, but that was going to be way more money to invest into it that I would never get back. And so I entertained the option of upgrading my bike. After I was comfortable, you know, and grew into my Iron 883, I ended up riding this bike, just messing around on a test ride, which is a 2017 Lowrider S. His is a 2017 Lowrider. His has a 103, this has a 110. I ended up test riding this thing, and dude, like I was just I was in love. I couldn't stop thinking about the bike. I was like, man, that thing is a monster. It's got a lot of power. And I ended up trading my iron for it, right? Because I was ready for it. You know, I was comfortable. Had I got on this bike first before my Iron 883, hell no, I would not have been comfortable with this bike, because it has a lot of power. I mean, I remember the first time I rode off on the Iron 883, that was my first, you know, road legal street bike. My first like motorcycle, you know. And I remember going like 40 miles an hour thinking I was going like Mach 1. Miss Blockhead was driving in the car behind me, and she's like, speed up, like what are you doing, go faster. But then you get acclimated to it, you know, you get used to it, you get comfortable. And that's the key word here, is comfort. Like I said, could I have started on this bike? I mean, some people probably do. Some people can start on, you know, a really powerful bike, and it's like on the sport bike side, you know, people say don't ever start on the leader bike, don't ever start on a 1000, and I'm a firm supporter of that. So with sport bikes, had I started with a 1000, I probably would have hurt myself, you know, but I started on a 600. So basically my progression through motorcycles was Iron 883, and then I got a Yamaha R6, which is a sport bike, so I went cruiser. And then after the cruiser, got a sport bike as well, which is a Yamaha R6 600cc. And then I ended up trading in my Iron 883 for the Dyna Lowrider S, this one, right, which is a 110 cubic inch, roughly translates to about 1800 cc's. Cruisers and sport bikes tuned totally differently, so you can't really compare the two. Different machines, man. Both motorcycles, but different machines. And then after my R6, figured out there were a couple things I didn't like about it, you know, such as low to mid-range torque, and so I basically traded my R6 for a CBR 1000 RR. So had I started out on the top there and not had those introductory bikes to basically get me comfortable with riding those styles and then upgrading, I more than likely, this is just me, this is my experience, I more than likely would have hurt myself. It would have basically been me getting on a freaking 1800cc Harley Davidson that's an insane torque monster, you know, like I think they say this thing has like 100 and what do they say, 110 to 120-ish foot-pounds of torque at 3,000 RPMs. I mean, that's right there. I'm at 1,000 RPMs at idle. Basically, as soon as you get on this bike, man, it's like it's just insane amounts of power. So that was my experience. So I'm going to share with you guys Miss Blockhead's experience as well. Now, you know, I'm over 200 pounds. I'm 5 foot 10 inches tall. You know, these are the bikes that I could handle and that fit me and that suited me. But now Miss Block, she's like 5 foot 4, 5 foot 5-ish, 5 foot 6-ish, right in there. Basically about the size of Crystal here, which is Raj's girl on the back. See, that's what I'm talking about. That power right there, that's insane, man. Like, I'm constantly worried about that rear wheel going out from under me. Need a bigger rear tire. Anyway, so yeah, Miss Block, she's a smaller girl, you know, and she's about 100 pounds. But one of the reasons I got the iron was that basically as I grew into it, I was planning on her basically taking that bike. And, you know, that was the plan until she swung a leg over it and she was like, nah, like, this isn't for me. I'm uncomfortable with it. Once again, this is me coming back to that word, comfort, right? And so, like I said, the best bike, the best starter bike for you, the bike that is the one that you are supposed to start on, is the one that you are the most comfortable with. With her, that definitely was not an 883, and that's, you know, one of the smaller Harleys. Harley makes, you know, the 883. They make, I think the smallest they make is a Street 500. She was basically not able to handle the 883, which is, you know, like I said, one of Harley's smaller frame bikes. It's a Sportster. It's like 500 something pounds. So, like, in comparison to this, it feels much lighter, especially when you're picking it up off the kickstand. But she wasn't comfortable with it. She wasn't comfortable with the seat height. She wasn't comfortable with the weight of the bike. And after seeing how she basically got acclimated to the bike that she did first get, she wouldn't have been comfortable with the power of it either. But she grew into it. It was a natural progression for her. So her first bike, what she was the most comfortable on, that she found out, and she did some research and asked around, was a Honda Rebel. Now, after she ended up finding the Honda Rebel, we found out that apparently the Honda Rebel is like an internationally known, amazing, awesome starter bike. Also, Rev Bomb. So yeah, she ended up doing some research, and a lot of people told her the Rebel, and she ended up going on Craigslist and finding a good used one from 1987. We checked it out. She sat on it. She was like, yes, this is great. You know, it was really lightweight. It was a 250, so it's not going to be like too insanely powerful for her, right? Meaning if she like gets whiskey throttle, it's not going to take off and she's not going to like hurt herself. So we basically got that bike, and you guys can go watch her progression videos, but she had you know, a very natural first bike progression with that. She ended up getting that bike with some weirdness. Yeah, she ended up getting the Rebel 250. Like I said, we went test ride it, made sure it ran great. You guys can watch that video if you want to. We practiced a lot in parking garages, like in open parking lots. Oh, what's up, Officer Keller? Good looking bike, man. Man, they keep those things clean. The way they can maneuver those things, it's just amazing. So, side note, you guys notice how he's not wearing a jacket, right? Y'all talk about us squidding. Like, if I don't wear a jacket, I get countless comments about squidding. Motorcycle cops don't wear jackets. Why y'all gotta be hating on me? The rare occasions that I don't wear a jacket. Anyways, so yeah, Miss Blockhead, she rode that bike for, man, a good while. She was basically getting to the point where she was really comfortable with it. She ended up becoming interested. She was actually always interested in two bikes. One of them was the Harley Davidson Sportster 48 and the Indian Scout. Now, naturally, me having experience with Harleys and also previously owning a Sportster, you know, I pushed her more towards a Sportster because that's what I'm comfortable with. It's what I know. She found out that the price points of like a used Sportster versus a used Indian were like very, very different. The Indians were quite a bit more expensive, unless they were like really old. So her first bike, super lightweight, you know, she was able to handle it. She was able to get on it and be comfortable on it, which gave her the confidence to learn to ride. And she basically took it at her own pace. You know, we made a video talking about her progress through it, and she said, you know, it did take longer than what most people would, but it's paid off, and she absolutely loves it now. Yeah, after she ended up getting comfortable with the Rebel, ooh, you got TMS kicking on, so turning on my love jugs, cool this thing down. Oh yeah, Raj is a first responder. Anyway, so she slowly got comfortable with that and got to the point where she was confident enough to start looking at another bike, right? Like I said, she was interested in the 48, and so we ended up going online. I ended up finding a 48 that was a hell of a deal, and I bought it. And that's the bike that she's basically kind of been using, and she's been modifying it out, and it's basically her Sportster, her 48. Now, that's a 1200 cc, right? So she basically went from a 1987 Rebel 250, so 250 cc, to a 2010 Harley Davidson Sportster 48, which is a 1200 cc. It's quite a bit more power, right? However, since she was comfortable with riding and knowing like the basics of riding, she was able to get on the Harley and slowly progress. Now, granted, she had to get acclimated to it and she had to get used to it, and you know, I let her know that it was more powerful and that she had to have a respect for that, and that there wasn't as much room for error. And you know, I was very real with her because I didn't want it to bite her in the ass. And so she slowly started getting to learn that bike, got more comfortable with it. We ended up doing a couple runs, you know, in some areas that didn't have any traffic, you know, like later in the day. And then you know, she wanted to take it on the highway after she got so comfortable with it, and then so we did that, and she slowly grew into it. Now she's more confident on it, right? So that was her experience. So look at my experience versus her experience, right? Two totally different experiences, right? She had to start out on a drastically smaller bike because that's what she was comfortable with. So what I'm getting at, pretty much like I've said at the very beginning of the video, the best starter bike is going to be the bike that you are the most comfortable with. And I said back in the day, don't let people influence your decision with their egos. Meaning, if somebody comes up to you and is like, yeah man, don't get an 883, that's a girl's bike. Dude, if that's what you're comfortable with, then get it. You know, you don't want to like bite off more than you can chew and then end up possibly having a bad experience, not liking motorcycles or something like that, right? And get like a bad taste in your mouth about the whole thing. Because I mean, that's no way to start into this whole motorcycle experience. Like this, it can be a really awesome, rewarding experience, but if you start out on something that you're uncomfortable with, you're not going to like it as much. I'll tell you that right now. So the best bike for you, what you need to do is you need to decide on what style of bike you want. You need to basically go to some dealerships, do your research, swing a leg over them, see if they're comfortable, see if they fit you, because that's a real big thing, man, to like seeing if the bike fits you or not. Like the Sportster, realistically probably a small bike for me, but this bike fits me great. So everybody's going to be a little different. The best way to figure out which one fits you best and what you're most comfortable with weight wise is to go check out what bike in person that you're looking at, swing a leg over it, stand it up, get a feel for it, ask the salespeople for assistance if you need, or hell, if you got friends that has a bike that you're interested in, talk to them, see what their experience is. But yeah, I guess overall message there, the best starter bike for you is the one that you are most comfortable with. That's as simple an answer as I can put it. Most of these people didn't start on, you know, bigger bikes. You know, Raj, he just upgraded, traded his bike in the other day, and he got a lowrider. So he went from an 883 to a 103. You know, Eric, he started on sport bikes back in the day, and he's had a progression through different bikes. Greg, I don't even know what he started on, but he's on this beast right now, this freaking B-King, which is a naked Busa. Like, that bike's insane. Anyways, we're up here at Bike Night, Ace Cafe. If I'm not even gonna say if you guys have questions, because I know there's gonna be questions posted up on this, because it's one of those topics that is like the question that I get the absolute most. You know, it's what is the best starter bike for me? Hey, what bike do you recommend for me? And so maybe I'll use this video as a way of showing you guys that everybody's progress, everybody's experience is different. There is no answer as to what the best starter bike is for you. There's not an answer. It just doesn't exist, because the best answer is the bike that you're most comfortable with. The bike that's going to give you the most confidence to go and ride. That's the bike that is the best for you to start on. Hey, what was your first bike?
2001 Suzuki GSXR 1000.
Dude, you started on a 1000?
Yeah. I used to ride a lot of dirt bikes back in California.
Oh, okay, see, so you had experience on dirt bikes beforehand. What was your first bike, Greg?
Kawasaki EX500.
500?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cylinder 500.
Well, what after that? What was after that?
ZX9.
Yeah.
Kawasaki ZX9.
Was your first bike the 883?
No, my first bike was a Kawasaki Ninja 250, 2012, so the last carbureted year. It was gorgeous, and I made it gorgeous-er.
Gorgeous-er.
And right as soon as I got it perfect,
Dude,
I was like, I'm gonna go to Bike Week. It's gonna be awesome. Get hit by a car.
Oh, lame. And then you got into the cruiser life. What was your first bike?
My first bike was his first bike.
You're gonna pick it up? Yeah.
We told Dana, we told Aaron, they're like, yeah, we'll put it in the back, hide it.
That's a good first bike. If you're comfortable with it. And then you and Miss Blockhead be riding around, getting your nails did and
Grom bike!
Ah, Groms! Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to hit the like button. If you guys aren't subscribed already, be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that bell icon so it sends you notifications of future uploads and activity. If you guys want a chance at winning some cool stuff, be sure to go check out the Patreon. You guys can find that at patreon.com/blockheadmoto. Get some exclusive content for signing up for that as well. And until next time, you guys ride safe out there, stay vigilant, and we'll catch y'all later. What you doing there, bro? All right, deuces.